Welcome to this week's episode of the How To's. Now for our host, Dr. Dimitri Bradley.
Hey everybody, I'm glad you decided to hang out with us today here at the How To's with Dr. Bradley. My name is Terrance Jones. I'm here with the man of God, man of the hour, Dr. Dimitri Bradley. And we're going to do something a little different than what's usually going on this time. He's the actual guest. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you remember to subscribe to this channel and also like this video and share this video with somebody else and tell somebody about what's going on City TV and in City Church in general. But let's go ahead and get to what we got going on. Dr. Bradley, how you doing today?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Excellent, excellent.
Kind of feels funny being the guest, but I'm going to see how well this works.
Well, I think it's going to work good, especially what we talk about today.
Oh, yeah. No doubt, no doubt.
So for those of you who obviously you're not here to hear our conversations, a lot of things that Pastor does and talks about, he is really one of those current pastors. He's not looking too far in the past. He's not looking too far in the future. He's looking at what's going on right here and right now, and he gives a word in that same way. And, you know, one time we were actually hanging out in this office and we were just talking about this whole show and production in general. And, you know, he was like, we need to start discussing the church and how they relate to social issues in their community and the global community and whether or not we're really playing a part in that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how the church relates to the community, particularly pertaining to social issues. So,
all right.
One of the things that I thought about when we were, thinking about this is when Jesus was walking with the disciples after he had risen again. And the disciples were like, all right, Jesus, when are you going to restore the kingdom?
Right.
And Jesus was like, it's not my thing to tell you what God has in place, but you need to go receive the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And then he went up to sit at the right hand of God. A lot of people have taken that to say the church don't need to get involved in stuff.
Yeah.
Because what the disciples were talking about, they were under still Roman oppression at the time.
Right.
And, they're like, we don't really want to deal with all this type of stuff. Can you help us out? And Jesus is like, this ain't really what I came for.
That's right.
But he did allude that it's going to get handled.
That's right. That's right.
But people have taken this hands off of what's going on socially.
Right.
I guess to lead into what we're talking about, what do you think about that? Like,
I think we got to be. I think we have to be extremely mindful about taking things. I would say some things out of context, but not keeping it relative. There are so many other opportunities when you look in the Word where you see Jesus kind of involved in what is happening with the community. That we got to just make sure we're looking at it right. Jesus got involved in the community when you had the lady caught in adultery. She was supposed to get stoned. I mean, he was involved with that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He got involved with the Sadducees and the Pharisees on different levels. And so I don't know that means that text means that we shouldn't be involved in social issues. And here's kind of how I would couch that. The Word of God, I believe, is not a religious book. It is the book to how we live our life here on the earth.
Right.
And so there are things that are going to affect your life while we're here on the earth. And one of the things is what's happening in your community. And so I think that how we live and what we receive should in fact impact our communities if we do this right and we do it the right way.
Right. So what do you think that role looks like as a pastor? You pastor a church that is very urban in culture. There's a neighborhood right across the street that, has, I guess, your classic urban neighborhood. We're here.
Yeah, we're
here. A lot of us come from those backgrounds. What do you think the church's role should be in terms of the community?
Well, I think the first thing is, let's keep everything in context. Our first thing is to preach the gospel.
Okay.
Our job is to preach the gospel. Now, the question is, I think we preach the gospel in the context of the environment that we live in. So I think you have to make sure you are aware of the environment, because we can preach some things that are maybe not relative to where people are right now. So my job, my opinion, my job is to, what is the current climate? What is the word? What is the word from God that goes with the climate that we're dealing with right now? And so for me to be in an urban area, in my opinion, and not preach on prosperity, getting better in yourself and that kind of thing, to me doesn't fit, because that's the environment that I'm in. Now, if you're in a suburban environment and everybody already has education and they already know that and all those things are there,
Right.
then maybe you don't need to preach on that.
Right.
But this environment requires that.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be mindful of your environment, of the climate, and then we got to make sure you take the word that matches the climate that you're in.
Yeah.
And I think that's A, how you stay relative, and B, how you not ignore what's taking place. Because my biggest issue with people was that one season we were hearing people say, why go to church? They ain't talking about nothing.
Right.
You know, they ain't talking about nothing that's relevant
Right.
to me or to what's happening. And there was some truth to that.
Yeah.
Can't cut it any other way than that.
Right, yeah. And you know, you brought up something when you said talk about prosperity, and I know that term prosperity always gets a bad slight, but the reality is this: if you're having trouble keeping your water on and keeping your lights on, I do want to hear something about prosperity because I'm not prospering, you know?
That's right. And prosperity is not just, you know, most people take that term prosperity and just get this giving, this giving component, you know, and I can't speak for everybody else, but I believe in teaching balance. So, you know, you got to learn how to manage, you got to learn how to save, and you got to learn how to find out the gifts and talents that God has given you to prosper.
Right.
Giving might be a part of that, but the bottom line is you need to know some things.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, again, in a lot of our environments, we were never taught how to manage money. We were never taught how to keep money.
Right.
And the truth is, a lot of us spend more money than we really should. In the environment that we're in, you could go across the street right now and find Gucci belts and shoes and all, you know, Jordans and that kind of thing, and then people not having their lights on, but yet you got 300 pair of Jordans on.
Yeah.
You have to balance that. So you want to hear about prosperity to help you get to where you need to go.
And the right way, because you know I hear arguments about gentrification all the time, and my thought is, you know, what if the church were to teach management, you know, teach prosperity, but in prosperity is management.
Absolutely.
You know, and so maybe you wouldn't be losing your home for $50,000 and then they turn around and sell it for $250 and now you're far from work or you're outside of, maybe those things wouldn't happen if the church was more active in maybe dealing with stuff.
And management, you know, you heard me say this a couple Sundays ago. I could, you know, we say you can have what you say, and I believe that. But I also could add this: you can have what you can manage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if nobody tells you what to manage, you know, the scripture says, if you're faithful over a little, I'll make you ruler over much. Yeah. So you have to learn how to manage. And again, these are terms that when I grew up, I never heard stuff like this in church. Nobody ever preached stuff like this in church. Right. And so a lot of times that's why I was dozing off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So a lot of times when community activism and community involvement gets talked about, obviously politics goes right behind that as well.
Absolutely.
But we also know the popular separation of church and state.
Yes.
Should the church at any level get involved in the political arena?
Again, I think it's involved. It's about environment. I think because of the laws of the land, you have to obey the laws of the land and that kind of thing. But I do believe, you know, we go up to the line. You know what I mean? In a sense of, we don't tell people who to vote for, who to vote for, but you have to remind people that this system operates based on that. And if you neglect the right to vote, and we don't encourage people to do that, you are actually doing yourself a disservice. You know, you might not like the candidates, no, you might not like everybody on the table, but you do need to make a choice, and the choices that you make can impact your life and the life of your family. And then on top of that, we need to be informed when we vote. And so again, in this climate, we don't get a lot of that from other areas. So we see a lot of people in church. And so, I take every advantage to make sure we share the importance of voting, the importance of being informed voting, not just voting on a party line just because. You need to know who you vote for. So I understand that politicians come to me because I represent votes.
Yes.
I'm not deranged by or confused by why they come to see you. You represent people, which represents votes. And so I choose to handle that in a certain manner. That you're not going to get up and talk on Sunday because you really don't go here. But if you want to do something, tell me what your agenda is and that kind of thing. And then tell the people that, then they can make a intelligent choice about who to vote for. But coming in here glad-handing, waving, and saying, you know, I never.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to talk a little bit about that. And
I'm sure I'm going to get some flack behind that.
Well, you know, you brought it up, so let's get it. I've seen it. I've seen some of the political figures come from this area, and I've seen around the time that they come. And, you know, I think you do an incredibly good job of you're always welcome to worship with us.
Absolutely.
But your agenda is not going to be a part of our worship service.
No.
However, you ensure people understand, just like a fireman coming here, you know, this guy, he helps serve the community in this way. Well, this guy helps serve the community in this way.
Right.
Understand what he's talking about. But I think you do well in not allowing, as you know, what is termed as evangelical Christians now, allowing the political standpoint of a certain area, a certain demographic to overtake the gospel.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. One of my things, and we're gonna probably do that this year, is do like some open house forums where we allow them to come and share their platforms, not on a Sunday service, but do more of a community meeting where you let people ask you questions about what it is that, you know, you will stand for. And sometimes when I start posing those kind of questions to people, you know, they don't like those kind of dialogues.
right.
You know, my thought would be, well, how do you expect to get up here and push a point, but nobody can ask you questions about what you voted for the last time?
Right.
You know, and my thought would be, if you want to talk, that's the environment in which you should be talking, when they can talk to you.
Yeah, it's got to be done that way. We're talking, if you just joined us, we're talking about how the church should get involved in community affairs. We do a lot of stuff here for this community, you know, and you say something where if your church leaves and nothing changes, then what really was your impact?
Yeah, they should be sorry that you left.
Yeah.
I would like to believe that we would be greatly missed if you were gone, you know. But that was on purpose. Again, churches being involved in the community. We're not necessarily the Red Cross. That's not necessarily our call, our job. And I think you have to make sure we understand the church is called to win the lost. Okay. And a lot of things that we do to win the lost means supporting a community and showing people we care and that we love them. And so in that way, we do things. We reach out, we support people, we do all kinds of things. I'm not here to use this as a platform to brag about what we've done, but and the people who go here know we do a lot for our community. And those are opportunities where we can share the love of God, where we can help people that don't have, where we can go out of our way to do some things for some people, and they get to see the church in a different light. And all it does is just open them up to receive a message that maybe they wouldn't receive because they thought somebody didn't care.
Yeah.
But you've got to get involved. And so whether it's coat drives, whether it's buying groceries for families, whether it's going to the grocery store and randomly paying for people, whether it's putting people up in hotels that are who are homeless, who don't even go to our church, whether it's helping the school system and teachers and that kind of thing. We do all kinds of things like that. Backpack giveaways, sneakers, we've done all of that stuff because we want to be involved and show people, hey, we love them. Even if it's just cleaning up. We've cleaned up the community. We've done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And you know, that is also activism. I know we like to think activism is marching down the street and screaming and stuff like that, but activism is also being proactive or responding to the need without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of aggressiveness. You know, you don't need to scream down the street to pay somebody's bill. You got to do that type of stuff.
You know, and I've been probably, I'm sure my staff would love for me to do more marketing about what we do. Yeah. Because I've never been one to really do that. But I'm 100% with you. I don't believe you have to do that. Number one, God sees it. Number two, the people saw it. You know, and I believe it speaks for itself. And I think if you do enough of that, you don't have to say it. It says it all by itself. Yeah. And so that's kind of my goal. My goal is for the church not to use opportunities as marketing, just to flat out just go help people. Right. If you do it enough, then you'll have all that. You will accomplish all of that by just doing what you're supposed to. Yeah.
Look, we ain't even cracked the surface on this stuff, man. But we gotta close up. So stay tuned. We're gonna come right back. We're talking about should the church be involved in social issues, and then we're gonna talk about some of those hows that needs to happen as well. Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video. We'll see you next week at the How To's with Dr. Bradley.
Thanks for watching the How To. Please like and share the video and leave a comment below to tell us what you think. You can also visit us at dimitribradley.com for more things about Pastor Bradley. And please, don't forget to subscribe to City TV.